Still coming to you live from the Nasrec Expo Centre's day two of the G20 Leaders Summit. Sitting with me now is government spokesperson Mr. William Baloyi. Sir, day two, I think the first day was success. How would you recap it, and what would you say are some of the key takeaways from the first day of the Leaders Summit?
Day two of this successful summit, and it's the very last one. So far, so excellent. That we hosted the very first important plenary where ultimately there was the adoption of the declaration, where initially it was thought it was going to be a different process. It will be adopted on the second day. But because of the hard work that we have put as South Africa into it, the wording that we put there, it was adopted by countries unanimously, except only one, Argentina, that raised their own issues. But the huge consensus adopted it.
Usually, normally, as per tradition of the G20, there is a handover ceremony to the next presidency. The next presidency being the United States of America in this case. There aren't any U.S. representation. Is there going to be a ceremony that resembles any kind of what traditions of the G20 normally are?
No, you're correct. Normally there is a ceremonial handover from the outgoing presidency to the incoming one. But that ceremony happens at the level of heads of state. Hence there is pomp and ceremony. However, on this one, the United States reached out to South Africa to say, we are sending, can you accredit this delegation? But that delegation, it's not at the level of head of state, which is almost at the level of an ambassador. So as South Africa, we are going to respect the United States, respect them by sending an equivalent. If they send an ambassador, we'll send an ambassador. If they send a senior official, we'll send a senior official. But given that they are not heads of state, there is not going to be any pomp and ceremony. We will do it administratively, if we have to use that word. We'll do it at our international relations offices, and we have communicated that. So as and when they are ready to send an official, we will give it to them.
So you'll send an email or a letter or a handshake at DECO's offices?
Normally, such includes other documentation. So there is a gavel, there's those symbols, and the documentation. So I take it that that are things that the protocols will iron out, but they will receive it from our international relations offices.
Just lastly, for South Africans who are at home, those that are in Johannesburg that have been witnessing the G20 summit, how would you like them to receive it, and will there be any meaningful change to their lives after the G20 comes and goes?
Firstly, to thank South Africans for the warm welcome and reception, including the inconveniences of the traffic and so forth, but giving that space to the leaders of governments and the dignitaries that are here. Secondly, this was a culmination of the hard work that has been happening since December. Many people might have missed it. We had more than 130 meetings that resulted in the summit, what we call the social summit. The social summit was bringing together recommendations that have been made by ordinary people on the ground, your non-governmental organizations, your youth formations, etc. So they came together during the consultations, put their recommendations, resulted in what we call a declaration that they handed over to the president. So, which means it was being representative to the people on the ground, as we declared when we took over the presidency from Brazil, to say the South African leg is going to be a people's G20. It will be driven by that. But as far as Spinos are concerned, yes, remember here we are hosting the world. We are putting the aspirations of the continent at the center stage. We are putting the aspirations of your global south at the center stage. And when you look at the issues that were discussed, that also are contained in the declaration. The issue of resolution of conflicts in your Sudan, the issue of resolutions of conflicts in your Great Lakes like your Congo. But also importantly, what will be discussed today in plenary, they are going to discuss the issue of decent work. They are going to discuss the issue of fair and just equitability on critical minerals. As you know that South Africa being part of the continent, well endowed in minerals. But whether that benefits your ordinary people, it's something that obviously still have to be worked on for beneficiation to work to be on those things. But on the South African lake part of it, there have been a booming of activities economically. The hospitality industry, people getting temporary jobs to assist in the accommodation, but the provision of food, the transport, and all other issues. So at least there have been some benefits. But there are also legacy projects. Many people were complaining about your roads, but most of the roads now, the city of Johannesburg, have been hard at work to close those roads. So those are legacy projects and beneficial. Not to say we're going to stop after this.
That's what everyone is hoping
We're
for.
going to continue because it's part of the service delivery. As you might have seen, where we are now, there is just a landmark of a legacy project for 2010, being the stadium, which is here, and the good infrastructure that we're having here. So there are always spin-offs out of every huge event that you host. Yeah.
I know I said I asked my last question, but I think you touched on a very, very important point. The continent of Africa. I want to zone in on SADC in itself. I don't think there has been an overwhelming kind of, I don't want to say response, but presence, whether it's online, it's in the media, about how our neighbors are involved in this summit and what role are they playing. Can you maybe give us a bit of insight on that, SADC and its involvement?
No, thank you very much. As I've indicated, we are representing the region, which is SADC, 16 countries. South Africa is a member of the region. We are representing the continent. SADC is a member of the continent, of the African Union. The African Union has been is a permanent member now, and also the current serving chair, President Lourenco of Angola. It's here representing the aspirations of the African Union and SADC being part of that. So it has been beneficial also to them. I saw, obviously, some media houses from the SADC countries, for example, they are here, Botswana and so forth. So they are also part of this, as this is an African one. Remember, it's for the very, very first time that the G20 is held in the African continent, on the African soil. So that puts Africa in the map, and SADC is part of Africa.